I died choking on my own blood, the metallic tang flooding my mouth as the brakes of that black SUV failed, deliberately sabotaged, I knew even then, by the man I once called brother. The last thing I saw was his face in the rearview mirror of my mind, twisted in that fake grief at my funeral, while he pocketed the inheritance I'd slaved for. But death isn't the end when karma's got a glitch. I woke up gasping in my old apartment, 3 years earlier, the date on my phone screaming October 15th, 2022, right before the boardroom coup that started it all. Sage Harlan, tech startup queen turned ghost, now with a second shot to bury the bastards who buried me. The city outside my window was the same chaotic beast, horns blaring up Fifth Avenue, the Empire State Building piercing the smoggy sky like a middle finger to anyone who dared dream small. I'd built Harlan Innovations from a garage hackathon idea into a $200 million valuation, all on the promise of AI-driven supply chain magic that could have revolutionized retail. But my brother, Ethan, oh, sweet, ambitious Ethan, had other plans. He wasn't just my CFO, he was the shadow puppeteer, whispering doubts into investors' ears, siphoning funds into offshore accounts labeled R&D contingencies. I remembered the emails now, crystal clear in this reborn haze, his late-night confessions to our cousin Lila, the one who'd marry him 6 months after my accident. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, splashing cold water on my face, still 29, still with that sharp jawline and the tattoo of a phoenix on my collarbone, inked after Mom died of cancer when I was 20. "You're back," I whispered to my reflection, the words tasting like victory and vomit. The hook of it all? I could smell his cologne on the scarf he'd left in my office yesterday, cinnamon and deceit. No more playing nice. This time, I'd weaponize every secret, every slip, until they choked on their own lies. But rebirth came with rules I hadn't signed up for. My body remembered the aches of the old life, the phantom twinge in my ribs from the crash, but my mind was a vault cracked open, spilling timelines like confetti. I knew the board meeting where Ethan would reveal my embezzlement was in 2 weeks. I knew Lila's affair with our venture capitalist, Marcus Hale, would seal the deal, tanking the stock and leaving me penniless, framed. And I knew the break failure on that rainy night in the Hamptons would end me, written off as a tragic solo drive gone wrong. First things first, fortify the castle. I logged into the company's server from my laptop, heart pounding like a bass drop at an underground rave in Brooklyn. Password unchanged. Ethan's laziness, my gift. I mirrored every file to a hidden drive in the cloud, encrypted with a key only I knew. Phoenix Rises 69, a nod to that wild college fling that taught me trust is for suckers. Then, I drafted an anonymous tip to the SEC, vague enough to stir the pot without boiling over yet. Harlan Innovations, CFO discrepancies in Q3 reports. Check Cayman wires. Send. The thrill zipped through me like espresso straight to the vein. By noon, I was suited up, tailored black pantsuit from Bergdorf's, the one that made me look like I could negotiate with sharks, and striding into the office tower on Park Avenue. The lobby buzzed with the usual. Baristas slinging $8 lattes, interns scrolling TikTok on the escalator. But I saw it all through new eyes, predator's eyes. Ethan was in the glass conference room, charming a cluster of VCs, his laugh that fake baritone rumble. He spotted me through the door, waving like we were still blood. "Sage. Just in time. We're pitching the expansion to Hale Capital." His smile was toothpaste ad perfect, but I caught the flicker, the calculation behind those blue eyes, mirror of dads before he bailed on us for a Vegas showgirl. I slid into the seat across from him, crossing my legs with deliberate slowness. "Sounds juicy. What's the ask?" He leaned in, voice dropping to that conspiratorial tone. 50 mil Marcus is biting, says your all goes gold. But we gotta sweeten it. Maybe bring Lila in on the demo. She's got that fresh MBA glow. Lila. Cousin, confidant, backstabber. The one who'd cry on my shoulder about her toxic ex, while texting Ethan nudes under the table at Thanksgiving. I nodded, playing the part. Brilliant. I'll prep the slides. The meeting dragged, buzzwords flying like confetti. Synergies, disruptive. Unicorn trajectory. Marcus Hale dominated, a silver fox in his 50s with a Rolex that screamed old money and a gaze that lingered too long on Lila's LinkedIn headshot projected on the screen. He was the key. Without his funding, Ethan's pivot to sell us out to a Chinese conglomerate would have fizzled. In my old life, he'd been the one to discover the forged docs pinning the theft on me. As we wrapped, I cornered Ethan in the hallway, the fluorescent hum overhead like a migraine waiting to happen. We need to talk numbers. Privately. His brow furrowed, but he followed me to my corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the skyline, a kingdom I'd lose in a blink. I shut the door, poured us scotch from the decanter, his favorite, peaty and pretentious. To family, I toasted, clinking glasses. He sipped, oblivious. Sage, you're on fire today. Whatever vitamin you're popping, share. I smiled, the kind that doesn't reach your eyes. Just clarity, bro, tell me. Those came in transfers? Personal slush fund, or what? He choked mid-sip, coughing into his fist. What the hell? You hacking my email now? Wouldn't need to if you weren't sloppy. I set my glass down, leaning forward. I know about Lila. The affair. The plan to oust me. His face drained, pale, as the ghost I almost was. Sage, that's insane. Paranoia from the pressure. Save it. I pulled out my phone, hitting play on a recording I'd snagged that morning. His voice, grainy but unmistakable, on a call to Lila. Once she's out, the board flips. We split the payout 60-40, my favor. He lunged for the phone, but I yanked it back, heart racing. This was the first chess move. Check, not checkmate. You think I'm bluffing? Try me. Resign quietly, or this hits the board Monday. And Marcus? He'll love hearing how his star investment is an incestuous shitshow. Ethan slumped into the chair, rubbing his temples.
Jesus, Sage.
It's not what you think. Lila and I, it just happened. The money, it's for us, for a future. You were burning cash on that AI pipe dream. Pipe dream? That's our legacy, you parasite. Rage boiled, but I reined it. Patience was my new superpower. You have till end of day. Walk or crawl. He left without another word, door clicking shut like a guillotine. Victory tasted like ash. This was just the appetizer. The real feast? Exposing the rot that went deeper. That night, alone in my loft in Soho, exposed brick walls lined with abstract art from Bushwick galleries, a king bed that mocked my solitude, I pored over the files. The buried secret hit like a freight train. Mom hadn't died of cancer. Ethan had forged the autopsy, covering up the overdose. She discovered his Ponzi scheme with Dad's old poker buddies, the one that wiped out her savings. In despair, she'd swallowed the pills. But Ethan? He'd spun it as illness, inherited the house, and used the sympathy to worm into my company. Tears stung, hot and furious. I'd carried that guilt, thinking my workaholic ass had abandoned her. Now, it fueled the fire. I called in favors. An old hacker buddy from MIT owed me for bailing him out of a dorm raid. Dig into Ethan's college years. Everything. By dawn, the dirt poured in. Underage gambling rings, a settled assault charge on a sorority girl, hushed with family cash. And the kicker? Ties to a cartel front posing as a logistics firm, the same one my AI was set to disrupt. Ethan wasn't just greedy. He was dirty, neck-deep in laundering. Armed with this, I scheduled a family reconciliation brunch at the Polo Bar, upscale, discreet, the kind of place where deals die over deviled eggs. Lila arrived first, all blonde waves and Lululemon athleisure, hugging me like we were still girls swapping secrets at Auntie's lake house in the Berkshires. Sage. Ethan said you were stressed. Group chats blowing up. I air-kissed her cheek, inhaling her Chanel No. 5, same as Mom's. Oh, it's blowing up all right.
Seek.
Eggs Benedict. She chattered about her consulting gig, but her eyes darted. Guilt's tell. Ethan slunk in 10 minutes late, Ty Askew, ordering black coffee like it could absolve him. Look, he started. Last night was a mistake. I overreacted. Shut up. I slid a folder across the table. Printouts of the recordings, the cartel links highlighted in red. Lila's manicure froze midair. Her voice cracked. Sage, what is this? Your love nest's foundation crumbling. Ethan's not just fucking you, he's fucking over immigrants via ghost shipments. Mom knew. That's why she...
No.
Lila's hand flew to her mouth. Andy had cancer. The doctors. Forged. By him. I jabbed a finger at Ethan, who looked like he'd swallowed glass. You two planned my downfall for a payout. But here's the twist. I'm walking away clean, taking the company public without you.
And you?
You'll confess, or the feds get the full dossier. Ethan's laugh was bitter, hollow. You think you can just... I already did. My phone buzzed, an alert from the hacker. SEC subpoena incoming on Harlan accounts.
Tick-tock.
Lila bolted first, tears streaming, muttering about therapy and boundaries. Ethan lingered, eyes pleading. We're blood, Sage. Forgive. Blood. I stood, towering in my heels. You spilled hers. Get out. As he fled into the Madison Avenue bustle, I felt the first real crack in the armor, elation laced with nausea. Revenge wasn't clean. It was a gut punch, every what-if of a life unlived flashing like bad acid. Weeks blurred into a frenzy. I restructured the board, installing a no-nonsense auditor from Deloitte, my old flame, Javier, who owed me for that Paris weekend I pretended didn't scar me. Harlan innovation surged. The AI demo wowed Marcus, sans the sleaze. He invested clean, eyes on the metrics, not my cousin's curves. But Ethan didn't fade. He lawyered up, a shark from Skadden named Victor Kane, filing a countersuit. Defamation, emotional distress, sibling alienation. The deposition loomed like a storm cloud over Midtown. I prepped in my war room, a converted guest suite in the loft, white boards scrawled with timelines, coffee rings like battle scars. Javier paced, his accent thickening with worry. Sage, this is scorched earth. You sure? Surer than breathing. I traced the phoenix tattoo, grounding myself. He killed her.
Us.
This ends it. The courtroom in Foley Square was a pressure cooker, wood-paneled walls sweating under AC strain, the judge a grizzled vet named Harlan. Irony's joke, with a gavel that cracked like thunder. Ethan sat ramrod straight, Victor droning about frivolous claims, painting me as the unstable mogul gaslighting her kin. My turn. I took the stand, voice steady as steel. Your Honor, my brother didn't just betray me, he erased our mother to cover his tracks. Gasps rippled. Victor objected. Hearsay. But Harlan waved him off, intrigued. I handed over the folder. Autopsy discrepancies, Ethan's emails, the cartel wire transfers. And this, I said, sliding a letter across, is Mom's suicide note. Hidden in her safe, dated the day she died. Ethan forged the cancer narrative to inherit. The judge adjusted his glasses, scanning. Silence stretched, taut as a wire. Then a chuckle. It built, rumbling from his chest, until he was laughing, full-throated, wiping tears. The gallery murmured. Victor spluttered. Ethan blanched. Harlan caught his breath, face red. Counsel this. This is either the boldest fiction or the damningest truth I've seen. But the dates line up. And this line. He tapped the letter. Ethan's shadows will consume us all unless light breaks through. Poetic. And prescient. Ethan's eyes met mine across the room. Defeat, raw and rotting. Sage. But I was done. He said, you'll never touch my money again. Right before the crash he rigged. Now, the judge reads the truth, and karma's laughing last. The gavel fell.
Case dismissed.
Charges pending on Ethan. Fraud, obstruction, conspiracy. Lila turned state's witness for immunity, spilling like a confessional. As the cuffs clicked on him outside, flashbulbs popping like fireworks, I walked free into the autumn chill. The city pulsed, alive, mine again. But in the cab home, staring at the Hudson's gleam, doubt crept. Was this justice, or just my poison returned? The phoenix rose, but scars lingered. And in the mirror that night, I wondered if rebirth meant living with the monster I'd become. The fallout hit like a Category 5 through my feeds, TechCrunch headlines screaming, Harlan Air handcuffed, sibling showdown shakes Silicon Alley, Twitter ablaze with Sage vs. Snake, memes of Ethan as a cartoon weasel in cuffs. I scrolled from the tub, bubbles foaming like champagne, a glass of Veuve in hand. Sweet but hollow. Javier texted, "Drinks? You earned it." I replied, "Rain check. Ghosts to exorcise." Sleep dodged me that night, the loft's shadows twisting into Mom's frail form, her voice a whisper. Light, Sage. Always light. Dawn broke gray, and I was up, pounding the treadmill overlooking the fire escape, rusted iron ladders snaking down to the alley where delivery bikes clattered. Sweat stung my eyes, mirroring the burn of unresolved rage. Ethan was in Rikers, bail denied, but the cartel threads? They unraveled toward higher fish. Marcus Hale's name flickered in the wires, not direct, but adjacent, a shell company he'd advised. Time to cast a wider net. I called in Elena, my fixer from the startup grind, a Dominican powerhouse who'd clawed her way from Bronx bodega shifts to cornering IP law at Cooley. We met at a dim corner booth in Veselka, the Ukrainian spot in the East Village where pirgas steamed like secrets. Sage Mija, you look like you wrestled a bear and lost. Elena's laugh was gravel and grace, her braids swinging as she forked cabbage roll. Feels like I won, but the bear's still growling. I slid her a USB, Hale's tangles.
They.
Discreet. No waves till I say. She pocketed it, eyes sharp. For you? Anything. But this smells federal. You playing DA now? Playing Survivor. I sipped borscht, the beat Tang grounding me. Hale's clean on paper, but those advisories? Cartel cutouts.
Elena Nadith, no judgment.
That's why I trusted her, saw the world in shades, not black and white bullshit. We parted with a hug that lingered, her perfume of sandalwood and street smarts chasing me into the subway crush. Back at Harlan, the office hummed electric, employees buzzing like they'd chugged Red Bull IVs. Whispers followed me. She's a badass. Took down her own brother. I waved it off, diving into code reviews. The AI, Athena, was purring now, predictive models forecasting disruptions with 98% accuracy. We'd landed a pilot with Macy's, stock ticker climbing like ivy on a brownstone. But controversy brewed. A whistleblower email hit my inbox, anonymous, routed through Tor. Hale's not the tip. Bored ghost. Victor Kane's your leak. He's Hale's brother-in-law. They planned the frame from jump. Victor. Ethan's shark, now scrambling for his own pond. I cross-checked. Wedding photo from 15, Kane-Hale nuptials in the Hamptons. Bingo. The betrayal layered like an onion, peeling to rot. I confronted Marcus at our next pitch, his penthouse office in the Seagram building. All chrome and ego, skyline sprawling like a conquered map. He poured Macallan, smooth as sin. Sage, stellar quarter. To empires. I clinked, then set down hard. Empires built on bones? Your brother-in-law's in bed with my brother's dirt. His smile froze, glass midway. Pardon. Victor Kane. Cartel launderer via Hale capital shells. Ring any bells? Marcus leaned back, steepling fingers, classic power pose. Allegations, Sage. Dangerous ones. Truths. I pulled up the dossier on my tablet, Elena's highlights glowing. Ethan was the pawn. You? The king. Mom's death? She flagged your investments to the IRS weeks before. Ethan covered to protect the family name, your name woven in. He laughed, low and oily. Charming fiction. But sue me if you must. Discovery's a bitch. I stood, tablet snapping shut. No suit.
Audit. Full.
Or the Times gets this by morning. The door to his office whooshed open as I left, his voice trailing. You'll regret. Already did, once. Elevator dinged, descent matching my pulse. The audit launched that week, Deloitte tearing through ledgers like wolves on venison. Marcus stonewalled, lawyering up with surprise, Victor. But Elena was a step ahead. Her team unearthed emails, Hale's directives to Ethan, nudged the sister out quietly. The frame job crystallized. Forged docs, timed leaks, the SUV tampered by a mechanic on Hale's payroll. Publicly, I played Saint, presser in the lobby, cameras flashing as I decried corporate predation, vowing transparency. Harlan stands for innovation, not infiltration. Applause thundered, but inside, the tension coiled. Controversial calls loomed. Leak the full cartel ties? It'd tank retail partners, jobs lost in Ohio warehouses. Bury it for the greater good? Complicity's stain. Javier cornered me post-conference, his hand warm on my arm in the green room, catered charcuterie sweating under heat lamps. You're spiraling, Amor. This revenge, it's eating you. I pulled away, the phoenix itching under silk.
Good.
Let it. They ate me first. He sighed, that lawyer patience fraying. Ethan's trial starts Monday. Testimony, it'll gut you. I need it too. But doubt whispered. Was I sage or savage? The trial opened in the same Foley Square beast, air thick with anticipation. Protesters outside chanted, "Justice for Harlan." Ironic, since they'd branded me the villain pre-scandal. Inside, Ethan looked hollowed, orange jumpsuit clashing his pallor, shackles clinking like bad karma. Victor led the defense, painting Ethan as coerced, a pawn in Ms. Harlan's empire of envy. Snickers from the jury box. My testimony was the hammer. Under oath, voice echoing off the vaulted ceiling, I laid it bare. The rebirth I couldn't say, but the betrayal I could. He said, "You'll never touch my money again." In a voicemail, post-crash setup. Deleted, but recovered. Then, the judge in my civil suit read Mom's letter and couldn't stop laughing at the irony of his family man facade. Harlan, our judge, nodded gravely, the letter admitted as exhibit. Gasps, then silence as I dropped the Hale bomb. Marcus Hale orchestrated it all, laundering through our supply chains, using my brother's greed as the hook. Victor objected. Prejudicial. But the seed planted. Cross-exam, he grilled. Ms. Harlan, isn't this vendetta? You rebuilt on his ruins. Ruins he built. I locked eyes with Ethan, across the bar. Blood doesn't excuse butchery. Recess called. I stepped out for air, courthouse steps slick with November drizzle, pigeons scattering like fleeing lies. Lila waited, bundled in wool, eyes red-rimmed. Sage. I testified. Everything. For immunity. Hate and pity ward. Why? Because you were right. He consumed us. She hugged me, brief and brittle. Forgive? Someday? I stiffened. Someday's a luxury I lost. Back in, the prosecution called Marcus, subpoenaed, sweating under fluorescence. His testimony cracked like cheap porcelain, admissions of oversights, but the email sealed it. I advised. Aggressively. Jury deliberated 2 days. Eternity in purgatory. I holed up in a Tribeca hotel, anonymous luxury to dodge paparazzi hounds. Javier joined, our night a tangle of sheets and confessions, his fingers tracing scars, mine clutching like anchors. This ends with you, Sage. Not them. But dawn brought verdict. Ethan guilty, 25, to life on conspiracy and manslaughter. Marcus, remanded for laundering trial. Cheers erupted, but mine stuck in my throat. Outside, rain lashed, washing the steps clean. Ethan, led away, mouthed. Sorry. Too late. Or was it? The verdicts echoed like aftershocks, ripples hitting every corner of my empire. Harlan Innovations IPO'd at $450 a share, champagne corks popping in the Nasdaq bell ceremony, me in emerald green, Javier's hand steady on my back amid Wall Street wolves howling approval. Forbes dubbed me the Phoenix CEO, cover shot me mid-stride through confetti snow, but the byline twisted. Revenge or Renaissance? Controversy clung like perfume, activists picketing our HQ over complicit chains, decrying the audit's soft landing on affected workers. I ignored it, channeling into Athena's upgrade. Ethical AI flagging human trafficking and logistics data. Poetic justice. Ethan's shadows illuminating the dark. But nights? They clawed. Dreams of the crash replayed in HD. Tires screeching on wet blacktop. The guardrail crumpling like foil. My screams swallowed by the plunge into icy waters. I'd wake gasping, sheets sodden. The phoenix tattoo a brand of fire. Elena's call shattered a board meeting. Mid-pitch on European expansion, my tablet buzzing insistent. Sage. Pull the plug on Hale Capital residuals. Feds raided his yacht this morning. Bodies in the story. Metaphorical, but deep. I excused myself, heart slamming against ribs. Details. Cartel reps. Hale was the mule, Ethan the unwitting courier via our pilots. One catch, a ledger naming you as silent partner. Forged, but it'll stick if not quashed. The room spun, glass walls reflecting my pale face. Silent partner? In my old life, that had been the nail in my coffin, the proof of my complicity. Reborn, I dodged it, but echoes lingered. Fix it, I said, voice steel. Burn the bridge. Hanging up, I stared at the skyline, Chrysler's spire glinting like a dagger. Controversial decision 1. Go public with the cartel exposure. Full transparency. Damn the stock dip. Press release drafted by noon. Harlan commits to eradicating supply chain slavery. Full audit released. The market tanked 15% that afternoon. Panic sells. Headlines screaming Phoenix plummets. Javier stormed my office, door banging.
Madness.
We could have contained. Contained like they did Mom? I whirled. Papers flying. No more half-truths. This is the light she begged for. He softened, pulling me close. You're right. But the cost, lawsuits, layoffs. Worth it. But as he left, doubt gnawed. Was I cleansing or crucifying innocence? The backlash crested at a gala, MoMA's annual, black ties and Basquiat's under crystal chandeliers. I arrived solo, Javier nursing a cold, my gown a crimson sheath that hugged like accusation. Marcus's widow cornered me by the bar, pearls choking her neck, eyes venom. You destroyed him, Sage. For what? A grudge. He destroyed himself. I sipped Vuve, bubbles biting. And us. Your husband's advisories flooded fentanyl into Bronx streets, kids like Elena's niece. She slapped me, crack echoing, heads turning. Security swarmed, but I waved them off, cheek blooming hot. Feel that? That's truth stinging. She spat. Bitch. Victor's appealing, says you planted evidence. Victor. The ghost persisted. I laughed low. Let him. Ghosts haunt back. The slap trended, Sage slapped, debates raging. Hero or harpy? Late-night slots dissected. CNN's anchor, that smug prick from Atlanta. Is Harlan's vengeance vigilante justice? I watched from the hotel bar, nursing bourbon, when a shadow slid onto the stool. FBI agent Ruiz, badge glinting under neon. Ms. Harlan. A word. We talked in a booth, vinyl creaking. Hale's ledger. Your name's cleared, but we need your testimony. Cartel trial. Big Fish, El Toro.
El Toro.
The name from Ethan's files, the ghost behind the SUV mechanic. I nodded, pulse steady. On one condition. Protection for the whistleblowers. The warehouse workers. Done. He slid a card. Monday. And Sage? You're braver than most. Brave or broken. The line blurred. Trial prep consumed me. Mocks with Elena in her walk-up overlooking the Gowanus. Canal stench wafting like regret. Channel the rage, she coached, pacing linoleum scarred by heels. But not the hurt. They smell blood. I practiced in mirrors, voice honed. I rebuilt from betrayal. But the real crime? The innocence Hale and my brother's sacrifice for profit. Monday dawned brutal, snow flurries whipping the federal courthouse in Brooklyn, wind howling off the East River. Inside, the room was a pressure vault. Cartel tattoos peeking from defendant suits, translators murmuring, air thick with fierce wet.
My stand, lights harsh, jury diverse Bronxmam, Queen's Cup, Staten Techi.
I testified clean, timelines, docs, the forged ledgers, ink analysis. They used my company as a veil, but I ripped it off. Crossed by the defense, a weaselly type with a comb-over, probed. Miss Harlan, didn't you ignore red flags? Complicit.
No.
Flat. I was blind.
Now?
I see. El Toro's glare bored holes, scarred face, gold tooth flashing threat. Recess, Ruiz pulled me aside. He's signaling hits. Watch your six. Paranoia spiked. Every cab horn a tail, shadows in Soho alleys lengthening claws. I hired protection. Ex-SEAL named Tate, broad and brooding, tailing discreet in a black Escalade. The threat manifested that night. Loft door splintered, intruders fleeing as Tate's shots cracked. No hits, but message clear. A cartel rose on my pillow, thorns pricking like warnings. Javier moved in, our loft now a fortress, cameras whirring, his law books stacked like barricades. This ends, Sage. Pleaded out. Ends when they do. But his touch that night was desperate, bodies colliding in the dark, love as armor, fragile. The trial climaxed with a twist. Ethan's recorded plea from Rikers, smuggled via guard. Played in court. Sage, I did it for us.
Hale promised.
But the shadows, they took Mom. Forgive.
Gasps.
Jury wept. El Toro's empire crumbled, guilty on all, life without parole. Cheers, but mine choked. Ethan's words a knife twist. Blood's pull. Eternal. Post-trial, the media frenzy peaked. 60 minutes ambush outside. My no comment a shield. Back home, Javier proposed over takeout Thai, pad CEW steaming, ring box humble. Build with me, not against. I hesitated, Phoenix pulsing. Yes. But controversy loomed. Victor's appeal, alleging my manipulated rebirth. Wait. No. He didn't know that. His filing. Witness tampering via fabricated suicide note. Harlan, the judge, summoned us. His chambers smelled of pipe tobacco and old leather. Ms. Harlan, this appeal's a circus. But one snag. The letter's provenance. You found it post-rebirth, post-scandal. I froze. Your Honor, it's authentic. Lab confirmed. He chuckled, that laugh again. Oh, I believe you. But Victor's got a PI claiming you planted it. Controversy's a bitch. The hearing was a media circus. Cameras barred, but leaks flew. Victor's PI testified. Harlan accessed the safe months after the death. Impossible. My heart stopped.
How?
Unless. The rebirth glitch. Timelines bleeding. Elena whispered. Counter with the impossible. Alibi. You were in Tokyo closing the deal. But I wasn't, not in this life. Old life echo. I took the stand, voice cracking for effect. I grieved. Dug for truth. That's not planting. That's exhuming. Victor crowed. Lies. Then, the twist, Ruiz entering with a flash drive. New evidence. Hale's safe deposit box. Duplicate letter. Dated same. He kept it as leverage. Victor deflated. Appeal denied. Laughter rippled. Harlan again booming. Gentlemen, justice isn't a script. Dismissed. Outside, snow blanketed the steps, pure.
Javier kissed me, ringling-ting.
Our empire? But as we walked, a burner buzzed in my pocket, Tate's. Boss, tail spotted. Cartel remnant. The war wasn't over. Rebirth's gift, endless vigilance. Vigilance became verb, my life a taut wire stretched across the Hudson span. Tate's Escalade idled perpetual outside the loft, his radio crackling ghosts into the night. Javier adapted. Our mornings now coffee and concealed carry drills in the rooftop garden, basil wilting under winter's bite. This isn't living, Sage, he murmured one dawn, frost rhyming the fire escape rails. It's surviving. But the words soured. Rebirth promised more. Not this cage of caution. Harlan thrived despite the scars. Athena's anti-trafficking module license to the UN, op-eds in the Times praising ethical disruption. Awards piled, Forbes 30 under 40 Redux, a TED slot where I spoke to a sea of faces in Vancouver, voice amplified. Betrayal taught me. Innovation without integrity is just another con. Applause thundered, but backstage, Elena hugged fierce. Proud, Mija. But Hale's widow? She's suing civil, wrongful death, claiming you drove Marcus to despair. Controversy 2. Settle or fight. The deposition loomed in her lawyer's glass airy overlooking Central Park, leaves skeletal against April bloom. She sat prim, veil lifted widow's weeds, voice quavering. He was good, Sage. You painted him monster.
He was.
I leaned forward, no pity. You're good, man poison communities for profit. My mother's included. Her eyes flashed, steel beneath silk. And your brother? Family to you, scum to the world. Hypocrite. The slaps echo. I stood. Settle for 5 mil. Donate to trafficking victims. Or drag it out, your call. She blinked, deflating. Taken. Victory, Pyrrhic. Javier celebrated with rooftop rows, city lights winking complicity. But the tale persisted, black sedan ghosting my runs along the High Line, weeds choking the rails like unspoken threats. Tate cornered me post-brief, his Brooklyn accent thick, arms crossed over tactical vest. Boss, it's El Toro's Lieutenant Rico. Slipped custody south of the border. Word is, you're the loose end.
Rico.
The name from the SUV mechanic's confession, his cousin, the tamper. Rage reignited. Phoenix flaring. Find him. Already on it. But Sage, this is vigilante shit. Feds want jurisdiction. Feds are slow. I'm not. Controversial call 3. Go rogue. I wired Tate off books. $50K for intel, no badges. He delivered a week later. Drop point. Abandoned warehouse in Red Hook, crates rusting by the Gowanus muck. Solo? Insane. Not solo. Javier insisted, Glock tucked in his waistband. Lawyer turned guardian, loves alchemy. We rolled in at midnight, fog rolling off the canal like breath from the grave. Tate scouted. 2 guards, Rico inside. Armed. Heart hammering, I slipped through a shattered pane, glass crunching under Nikes, the air fetid with oil and decay. Shadows danced from sodium lamps, my phone's flashlight a thin blade. Rico waited, silhouetted against a chain-link window, cigarillo glowing ember. Harlan, come to gloat. To end it. I stepped forward, voice steady. The SUV. Mom's shadows. Payback. He chuckled, smoke curling. Family business, eh? Toro sends regrets. Your brother's mouth too big. Guards flanked, but Tate's diversion. Flashbang outside. Cracked the night. Chaos. Shouts, scuffles. Javier burst in, tackling one. I lunged for Rico, nails raking his face, primal, unhinged. He swung, fist glancing my jaw, stars exploding. We grappled, tumbling over crates, his knife flashing moonlit.
Die again, puta.
The Phoenix screamed, old life's chokehold returning. But this time, I twisted, knee to groin, elbow to throat. He gurgled, knife skittering. Tate cuffed him, zip ties biting. Enough, Sage. Feds en route. Sirens wailed distant, closing. Rico spat blood. You'll burn. Already did. I stood, chest heaving, Javier's arms enveloping, anchor in the storm. Dawn interrogation at the precinct. Rico flipped like a bad pancake, naming names up the chain. Cartel crumbled further, headlines hailing CEO's courage, but leaks twisted. Harlan's warehouse brawl, justice or assault. Victor pounced, amending his appeal. Vigilantism proves instability. Hearing expedited, Harlan's chambers again, his pipe puffing indignation. Ms. Harlan, this escapade reckless. Necessary. I met his gaze. They came for me. I finished it. He sighed, stamping dismissal.
Cleared.
But tread light. Heroes fall hard. The clearing felt fragile, like spring ice on the reservoir. Javier and I escaped to the Cape, his family shack in Wellfleet, shingles silvered by salt, dunes whispering secrets. We walked beaches at low tide, horseshoe crabs scuttling like armored regrets. "Marry me proper," he said, ring rematerializing at sunset, gulls crying approval. No more ghosts. Tears pricked, first real ones since rebirth.
Yes.
All in. But the twist brewed in paradise. A letter arrived, forwarded from Rikers. Ethan's scrawl, shaky. Sage, visitation approved.
Come.
Truths left. I went alone, Javier's worry creasing his brow. The visiting room was sterile hell, plexiglass dividing, phones greasy with desperation. Ethan looked gaunt, veins mapping defeat. "Cease." His voice crackled, eyes pleading.
Elite.
About Mom, not overdose.
Hale.
He pushed her. From the balcony. She confronted him, the laundering. I covered for us, to keep Harlan afloat. Ice-flooded veins. Pushed? You said. Forged to protect you. You were closing the deal in Tokyo. If you knew, it'd shatter you. He pressed the glass. The letter?
Real.
But I hit it deeper. You're fined. How? Timeline bleed. Rebirth secret, spilling. Doesn't matter. Why till now? Redemption. Tears tracked. And the money. Hale's final play. He rigged the civil suit too. That judge's laugh.
But you.
You won anyway. Stunned silence. The betrayal's core. Not just greed, but sacrifice twisted. Ethan, the monster, had shielded me once. I forgive. The word hung, bitter. Live, Sage. For her light. Guards called time. I left, world tilting. Hero to haunted in a heartbeat. Back in the city, the wedding loomed. June. Loft transformed, fairy lights strung like stars. But Rico's remnant struck. Pipe bomb at the venue scout, shrapnel shredding a florist's van. No deaths, but message, unfinished. Feds swarmed, Tate coordinating. Last gasp, boss. I nodded, stealing. Climax neared. The wedding morphed from joy to juggernaut. Security sweeps turning our Soho loft into a fortress festooned with tulle and tripwires. Javier adapted with dark humor, toasting at the rehearsal. To love. Locked and loaded. Laughter rippled through Elena's crew, her braids festooned with baby's breath, but my smile strained. Ethan's confession a splinter under skin. The ceremony dawned golden, June's sun gilding the rooftop, city sprawl bowing below, Hudson's shimmering invitation. I walked the aisle solo, Mom's veil a lace shroud, Phoenix peeking from my strapless gown. Vows exchanged under a chuppah Javier's Jewish grandma insisted on. Tradition tempers chaos, rings sliding like seals on fate. I do, he said, eyes liquid. Through crashes and cartels. Laughter broke tension, guests Elena, Tate in ill-fitting tux, even Lila, tentative olive branch, clapping thunder. But as we kissed, a drone word overhead, buzzed like doom. Tate tackled us down, petals exploding. False alarm, paparazzi toy. Still, the party pulsed wary, champagne flowing, but eyes scanning shadows. Honeymoon called, Bora Bora. Overwater bungalows promising escape. But en route, the call. Victor Kane, arrested at JFK, briefcase stuffed with bribe memos. Hale's final laundering, aimed at swaying my appeal judge. Anonymous tip. Ruiz drawled over sat phone. Your style. Ghosts of styles. I hung, waves lapping the villa stilts, Javier's hand interlacing mine. It's over. Or was it? That night, starfish swimming below glass floors, he confessed. Sage, I knew. About Ethan. The cover-up. Elena told me, pre-trial. Betrayal's echo, small, but sharp. Why hide? Timing. You were fire. I feared extinguishing. His eyes pleaded. Forgive. The phoenix stirred, rebirth's lesson. Trust fractures, but men's jagged. We rebuild. Together. But the final twist uncoiled stateside, post-paradise, a package at the loft unmarked. Inside, Mom's locket, chain snapped, gift from Dad pre-bail. Note in Ethan's hand. Found in Hale's effects. For you. Light winds. I clasped it, metal warm against skin, tears free-falling. Javier held me as sobs racked, grief's purge, long delayed. Months blurred to merger. Harlan absorbed a green tech firm, Athena evolving to global guardian. Ethan? Paroled early for good behavior, vanishing to a halfway in Oregon. Rumors of AA, amends. Lila? Married a barista, kid on the way, holiday cards tentative. Controversy faded to footnote. My TED follow-up. Vengeance's shadow, choosing light. Standing ovations. But the real win? Quiet. Javier's hand on my belly, ultrasound wand tracing a plus sign. Life, reborn in me. Yet in mirrors I traced the phoenix, scars of the crash faint but etched. Rebirth wasn't erasure. It was rewrite, ink indelible. Ethan had said it. Light wins. But shadows? They dance eternal. One dusk, walking the High Line, rails reclaimed by wildflowers, I paused at the overlook, city humming him. A black sedan idled below, but Tate radioed. Clear. I smiled, wind whipping veil remnants. The judge's laugh echoed memory. He said, "You'll never touch my money again." Then the judge read my letter and couldn't stop laughing. Karma's punchline delivered. And in that laugh, peace, controversial, hard won. The end? Not tragedy, but triumph, laced with the tension of tomorrow. Because phoenixes don't die, they rise, fiercer.